Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Hub channel. Today I'm joined by FPLSalah to review, first of all, Game Week 29, but then get into Game Week 30, because although it is a single game week, there are so many little decisions which, when they mount up, make it extremely difficult to know exactly what we do. So mate, I'm very happy, Abdul, to have you here because you know what you're talking about and I don't. So hopefully you can give us all some advice, some tips as to what to do this game week. First of all, how you doing, mate, and how was the last game week?
Yeah, I'm good, Jack. Thanks. So bench boost, played the bench boost last week, and honestly, couldn't have gone much better. I got all my double players started twice. I got 147 points, so -4, which is 143 net. And yeah, as I said, I was a bit worried when I wildcarded in Game Week 26. Bench boost in Game Week 29, it was a risk because obviously with it being so far away and having a national break after Game Week 28. But yeah, honestly, couldn't have asked for a better score. It went from 285k to 144k. So yeah, things are looking up a bit now. I'm hoping I can finally get into that top 100k now because I've not actually been there since game week 5 was the last time I was in the top 100k. So not a good season. Hopefully I can finish it well.
Just notice a game week rank of 20k though. That's absolutely massive. Yeah. Obviously, you're expecting a lot when you play a bench boost, but still, for all your players, as you say, to play twice, is like, when has that ever happened before? And then every bench boost player to return as well. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before, to be honest. And yeah, as you said, almost like only Shaw and Bruno were the only two who didn't return in my team. So yeah, it was a dream best bench boost really. So hopefully I can kick on now.
Well, there you go. I think to be honest, you've kind of deserved that because you've had a lot of bad luck recently. So
yeah, no,
on the up now, mate. You never know what could happen. Could be on a couple more game weeks like that, a couple more 20k game week ranks, and who knows? Seriously, because the points are still pretty tight together, even at this stage. Maybe it's because it's been a relatively template season in general. I'm not sure, but 20 points gets you a massive rank boost. I know for me, I'd be close to being outside the top 100k. I think I'm about 25 points ahead. Mm-hmm. So I could easily lose that given my team.
Yeah, value, I'm 16 points off. 100.
Well, there you go.
It's nothing really. So,
well then, let's see what you're planning on doing to get there. Let's jump straight into your team for the upcoming game week. 4.9 million in the bank. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so obviously, if you watch the videos, if you guys watched the video last week, you would know that obviously the plan was to have that money in the bank to do Tony to Haaland this week. So that is pretty much still the plan, Jack. But obviously, we're going to have to wait until the end of the week. We do know that Haaland has been training. So there's been video footage of him training. You obviously missed the Liverpool game. So I think he will be fine. I know with Pep's press conferences, he doesn't really give much away, but I think we'll know enough to know that whether he's going to start or not, or be fit for the game. And I think it's worth getting him in. But he before, a few weeks ago when I had this transfer planned, he was, my nailed captain for this week. But I'm not too sure on the captain just yet, because of, I think if Haaland starts, he might get maybe 60 to 70 minutes because they've got Bayern Munich a few days later, and then we've got Rashford there, with everyone at home. So the transfer is most likely going to be Tony to Haaland, but the captaincy is a bit undecided just now.
Yeah, captaincy is really interesting because, as you say, there's no obvious option given that we don't know exactly about Haaland's minutes. Let's just go into a little bit more depth on Haaland for a second. Mm-hmm. How many minutes exactly do you think he's going to get? Do you think he is likely to start that game? And is it a potential in your mind to go without him for this one game, given that you just said he has the Bayern fixture, might not play the full game, and then get him in later?
Yeah, totally. Firstly, I think he will start because Pep is going to want him to get. He got no minutes against Liverpool. You need to remember that. So he's going to want to get some minutes in his legs to get him, at least match fit or fit for the Bayern Munich game. He's going to have him firing for that. So I do think if he trains this week, he will start at Southampton game. And I'm going to put a prediction of say 65 minutes, but it all really depends on the game state. That's excuse me. That 65 minutes is dependent on him undependent on like City, winning that game. But like
Yeah.
if it's a case where it's 0-0 and it's or City haven't got that game won yet, then I think he will get a bit longer. So it all really depends on that. But I will just say, I'll give him a kind of a blanket, prediction of 65 minutes at the moment. But saying that, if you've not got Haaland, I do think you could potentially wait one more week, especially if you can't get him in for free. I mean, if you need to take a hit to get him in, then definitely, wait another week. But I think if you can get him in for free for somebody like Tony, then yeah, I think go for it. If, for example, somebody like Kane is your only route to Haaland, then again, I would wait another week. Because I
Really?
think because I think with Kane biting at home, it's not the best fixture, but it's Harry Kane, and it's a home fixture, and I think I would probably put Kane just above Haaland this week. Given he's going to get 90 minutes, and with Haaland's kind of minutes uncertainty.
It's such a tough one. I really wish that I had personally that I had planned as well as managers like yourself to just make that easy Tony to Haaland switch. I mean, on Tony, any kind of gripes or kind of reservations about selling him? Because obviously he's been in good form. Anything on that?
I mean, no, I mean, I love Tony as a player, but the thing is, I mean, the first thing he's got Newcastle, which is a tough fixture, and then
Yeah.
he's got that imminent ban hanging over him that could happen at any minute. And the thing is, I mean, the player I'm getting in is Haaland, which
Yeah.
just kind of speaks for itself. And then I want to keep Kane and Watkins for the next few weeks at least, with their fixtures. So I just think he is, he's just really the scapegoat really to get Haaland in. He's not a bad option. I mean, he's got Newcastle and then he's got Wolves and Villa in the next. So he could well, score well over those weeks. He could get banned next week. We just don't know. So I think with the uncertainty, he's the one that has to go.
No, I'm massively clutching at straws there, to be fair. I think it's an obvious one, isn't it? If you have the money in the bank to do that move,
I think so, yeah.
you have it for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, you
And I think
have planned
even
this.
if you think Haaland is going to get 60 minutes, I still think that move is worth it. You'd take 60 minutes of Haaland over 90 minutes of Tony against Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then come next week, if you're saying that you don't necessarily have to go for him this week, if it's not for free, it's not a pre-planned move, like you've got, why next week then do you think it's important to get him in? Or is that what you're saying, to get him in the next week?
Yeah, no. So I said if you could, I mean, you could potentially hold off this week, but then in game week 31, I think the assumption is he's going to be fully fit, right?
Yeah.
Play Southampton, he's going to play Bayern Munich, probably be ready to go up, and Leicester at home, is probably the best fixture of the game week. I know Kane's got Bournemouth at home that week as well, but I'd probably still captain Haaland.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. I mean, a fit Haaland against, I mean, Southampton away is just such a good fixture anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those that there's no way of knowing how many points he's going to score, obviously. But because his ceiling is so high, it's like, do you want to risk that? What are your thoughts on captaincy and who might be the most captain player? Because you said you're not sure on captaincy right now.
Yeah.
Who else are you thinking of captaining? Who's in that debate? And then who do you think is going to be the popular captain? Dependent on team news, of course.
I think Haaland will be the highest captain, firstly, right? Because I think there's already been footage of him training, and you'll probably get more photos later on in the week and more information. So I just think people will go Haaland, whether it be the engaged managers and the casuals alike. But then I think Rashford and Watkins are really great alternatives. I mean, Watkins got Nottingham Forest at home, probably the best fixture of the season. Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth at home are probably the two best fixtures you can ask for. They're both, conceded the most goals in the league, and they're both 20th and 19th for XGC as well. So great fixture for Watkins, 90 minutes on penalties, and then Rashford at home to Everton. I mean, again, he scored last game week. He's a midfielder, obviously gets more points for a goal and gets the clean sheet point as well. So really two really good alternatives there, which makes which is why I think that makes the captain decision hard this week.
It's one of those, isn't it? I guess where you just need to wait for all information, all the presses, and then make your final decision, right?
Totally, yeah. I think this is the week, usually it's for transfers, but we wait right into the end of the week. But I think this week as well is for the captaincy. We really need to get a good grip of Haaland's minutes. So, but then the thing with Pep is he never gives anything away, so it's just kind of really stab in the dark, isn't it?
No chance, and no real chance of early team news either. The game is late on the Saturday. But the fact of
Yeah,
the matter is, he's in training on a Wednesday, and the game's 5:30 on a Saturday. It's enough time,
yeah,
isn't it, to probably start the game? Who knows?
yeah. I mean, I think he'll definitely. I mean, if you ask my opinion now, like kind of gun to head, I think he definitely starts. I would say he starts, but it's just a fact of how many minutes he gets. And I think
Yeah,
if you think he's going to get 60 to 65 minutes, right, which is a fair assumption, then it's a really close call between him, Rashford, and Watkins, who are very likely going to get more minutes. So yeah, it's going to be a toss up.
it's just even with those 60, 65 minutes, you think back to Bournemouth away, and I'm reading this off, but there are so many of them, right? Bournemouth away, he doesn't play the full game, gets double digits, and Forest at home, 68 minutes, 70 minutes. He doesn't have to play the full 90
Yeah,
minutes
yeah. I
to
mean, he
get
could have a hat
an
trick by half
insane
time.
score.
Like he could have a hat trick by half time. Like he's just an insanely amazing goal scorer. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it so tough.
It's that Champions League game of the day. I'm just thinking about that, and I'm just like, can you really,
Yeah,
not go for him? It's simpler for someone like you. I mean, I say simpler. It's not simple because you plan this, so you've made it simple for yourself with good planning. But for someone like me who can't just get to him in one easy move, it is a really tricky decision. And anyone else out there in my sort of predicament, let me know what you're going to do in the comments, guys, because I need some help. Nonetheless, let's move on to the rest of your team because off the back of a bench boost, more often than not, you have a solid squad of 15 players. And
yeah,
obviously, we have a slight injury doubt in Shaw. Well, an injury
yeah,
doubt in Shaw. So let's get to him first. What are your initial thoughts with him? But apart from that, the team looks really strong.
yeah. So with Shaw, I think the injury doesn't look serious. So I'll just bench him for Botman. So I'll just
Okay.
play a double Newcastle defense. I don't think Newcastle are one of the best defensive sides in the league. Conceded the least goals. Top three for XGC. So no problems in playing a double Newcastle defense there. In terms of Shaw, I think I'll probably just keep him because, as I said, I don't think the injury looks serious. He can be benched in game week 30. Hopefully he's back for game week 31. I'm hoping he's back for game week 31 against Forest. But if he's not, again, I can bench him and play Botman. And then, I can just keep, and game week 32 is obviously the blank. So I think he'll be back by, because the main reason we need him is for a double, right, in game week 34. So I think
Yeah.
I'll keep him in my team until then, and just play him when he's fit. But as I said, and then for the next few weeks, if he's not playing, I've got a good backup there in Botman.
Similarly with Fernandez, then obviously he's in your team right now and
Yeah.
he's set in place for 34 and 37. But in terms of his actual form right now, in a fantasy sense, playing in that deep line role that he
Yeah.
found himself in last night, what are your thoughts on him?
Well, yeah, he was playing really deep, but I do think that won't be the case when Ericsson and Casemiro are back.
Yeah.
So they should be back next week. So I'm not too fussed with Bruno because I'm not going to captain him. I think he's a good solid pick. He's a 90-minute man. He's going to play every game. So I do think he'll be playing more advanced in the next game or the next few games at least. And then by the time we get to 34, Casemiro and Ericsson will be up to full speed, unless Casemiro gets himself sent off again for the third time. But yeah, but by that time, by the time I want him, I think it should be fine. So I'm not worried about Bruno. I'm not worried about him playing deep. I know that was a concern for, and it was, unlucky for captainers, but
Yeah.
I think it was just a situation, like the kind of predicament that United were in that phase. So I think he'll be fine going forward.
Okay, so let's talk about the rest of your team now because I've got your team up on the My Team tool on Fantasy
Yeah.
Football Hub, and as it stands, I've done the transfers, but as it stands, it has Matoma with the fewest predicted points out of your front eight, and therefore
Whoa.
on the bench. What do you
Doesn't it?
think about that?
Well, at the moment, I've got March, Shaw, and Estupiñán on the bench, right?
Okay,
So I've benched March. The reason I benched March is because although if you look at the prediction models, right, or even the stats, March does have better underlying numbers, but this season, but Matoma over a longer period has got better underlying numbers, and he's more likely to score. So he's higher on like if you look at the bookies odds or the prediction models, he's actually more likely to score than March is. So on that basis, I've gone for Matoma. But it's interesting that the hub tool fancies March.
It's very close. It's 0.4 in it, but I think that is, to be fair, that does seem more based on stats. As you say, the stats do favour March, but
yeah,
in terms of actual performance on the pitch, Mitoma has been unreal, and March has missed a few chances. I mean, that has to play into it in some regard.
Yeah, and it's one of those. It's a close call again, and it's just one of those where I'll probably just end up picking the wrong one.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. Like, I mean, that's just typical. That's the thing. When you have these 50-50 calls, right?
Yeah.
In isolation, you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe I'll be stung here by a little bit of variance, but it's a 50-50 gut call. What can you do? But then when you have about 5 or 6, and we're going to get into another one in your team in a second, in the same game week, that can really add up, and it's kind of out of your hands what happens. So speaking of which, who are you starting in goal? Because Mitoma and March are 0.4 points away from each other, according to the prediction tool on Fantasy Football Hub. But Kepa and Raya are just 0.1. So who gets to start there?
Well, I've currently got Kepa, and so I've gone for the double Chelsea defence. But I just think with Newcastle, they're just a really good team, and Brentford, I don't see Brentford keeping a clean sheet there, especially with Wilson and Isaac. So in this case, I don't think it's, in terms of clean sheet chance, I don't think it's that close. Yeah. But the fact that Raya does make a lot of saves and gets bonus makes it closer. So in this case, I'm just going to go with the clean sheet odds and kind of hope for the best. Because I think predicting clean sheets is fine, but I don't think you can predict how many saves a keeper's going to make or how many bonus points he's going to get, etc. So yeah, I think I'll just go with Kepa and Chilwell, and then at the moment Mitoma ahead of March.
So doubling up twice in defence.
Yeah.
Do you ever factor that in terms of so from my perspective, sometimes there's a gut 50-50 call.
Yeah.
And it's either going to be doubling up on a defence or going one team and another team.
Mm-hmm.
I think to myself, okay, what if there's just a horrible gaff from the keeper, like something that you wouldn't see in the stats, just a one-off event, and it kills a clean sheet. You see it once in a while.
Yeah.
Pope gets sent off or something, something crazy like that. Anything from your point of view in terms of hedging and maybe just playing them both because of a freak event like that? Does that come into your thinking, or is that just me being strange?
No, I think that definitely does. But I guess you would hedge when there's when there's a big when there's not like a huge difference between them in terms of points, right? So I'm just going to pull up I'm just going to pull up the clean sheet odds, right? So I think if there's a big difference in the clean sheet odds, like for example when you're playing defenders, like Chelsea are 42% to keep a clean sheet, whereas Brentford are 25%, right? That's a huge difference.
That's massive, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't hedge on that basis. I would just go for the two best players, for the two best defenders. If it was like, say, Chelsea were 42 and Brentford maybe 40%, then yeah, I'd look at hedging, because again, we're playing a game of prediction, so you can only just do your best. So maybe then I would hedge, but when it's that big a difference in the clean sheet odds, I just go with the two best.
So then, anything on the Botman versus Estupiñán decision? That's actually less of a hedge because Trippier is pretty much a non. Yeah, he's not. It doesn't count, to be fair. Yeah. So you're not really on double Newcastle defense there because everyone has Trippier. Mm-hmm. Maybe that changes it a little bit there.
Yeah. No, again, I just think with Botman, I think he's got like 10% higher chance to keep a clean sheet. So I've gone on that basis again. I just don't. I mean, Brighton have been great. They've been great going forward, but they have been. I mean, they're good. They've actually got like a top 5 or top 6 defense as well. But I just think with Spurs being at home, I just can't see them not scoring, especially with Harry Kane there. And then with Botman and Newcastle, I just think they've got a much higher chance of keeping a clean sheet. I think they were quite unlucky not to get a clean sheet against West Ham as well. I think it was a Nick Pope error, which led to that. But yeah, I'm just really confident in the Newcastle defence.
They are playing some amazing football right now. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that West Ham game was an absolute battering. Obviously, Fabianski didn't have the greatest game, but
yeah, we wasn't expecting that at all. But Yeah, they've done it.
Let's talk about future game weeks, because I want to know, you just have the free hit chip left.
Hmm.
Is that the plan for that, as it has been for a while, has been to use that in 32? Do you
Yeah.
still think that's the best time to use that?
Well, for me, it definitely is because I've loaded up on United players. I've got Haaland there, and so for me, definitely, and I think with my Newcastle players as well, they've got Tottenham at home, which isn't the best fixture. So I definitely think for me, it's a nailed on a game week 32 free hit. Again, everyone's in a different position. If you've got a set of 8 or 9 players and you can get to 10 or 11, in game week 32, then game week 34 is also a good time to use it. But in my situation, definitely game week 32, and that's when I'll be using it.
It's funny, I'm just clicking through here and trying to optimize your team as it stands for as best as I can for game week 32, and even playing all the playing players, putting the captaincy on Odegaard. The game week rating, according to the hub tool, is just 58%.
Yeah.
Whereas for 31, it's currently on 100%, not even touched it.
Yeah.
And for 30, it's on 90%. And just looking super strong.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer. And on top of that, it's like I can probably get to, I mean, if I start planning, now I can get to like 10, 11 players, but then it's all about the quality of players as well.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's there. And I think with the free hit, I can just go with, full best 11. And then, for game week 34, I should have, 10 or 11 double game week players. So, a full squad of double game week players. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer.
And let's touch on 34, because a lot of people may still have their wildcards left. I mean, I say a lot. A decent amount of people still haven't employed the wildcard chip. So for them, first of all, do you think 34 is the best time to use it? Obviously, this is obviously team dependent, but just in general. And then also, if you are going to wildcard in 34 or 32 or whenever, and you're looking for some more fun differential picks for this game week and the next game week, any sort of players that are interesting you there?
First, I think if you've still got a wild card, I think wild card in game week 33 is probably I say if you've got the wild card and bench boost,
yeah, and yeah,
then a wild card in 33 and a bench boost in 34 is the best way for it, no doubt. But if you've just got the wild card left, then yeah, it's just kind of, it just really depends on what your team is like. But in terms of differentials, I think I know West Ham just got beat 5-1, but I really do think they might be a good shout, because they've got a fixture in game week 32 against Bournemouth, and then they've got a double in game week 34 as well. So I wouldn't mind like a wee punt on Ings or Zuma in defence. I was looking at, I mean, I'm not just saying this because he scored, but I was looking at Zuma before this game week. I noticed that West Ham had 2 home fixtures. Then they got Fulham, then they got Bournemouth in game week 32, and then they got another double. So it's only they're one of 2 teams who, before game week 29 had a double in 29, a fixture in game week 32, and a double in game week 34. The only other team that has that is Liverpool. So yeah, so their assets are, I think, I mean, they'll be very low owned, and I just think with those fixtures, they might just click into gear. I mean, it is a risk, but I think it could work.
Yeah, Ings is a fun one. Zuma's a fun one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, very, very good in the air, but you have to say there are moral questions there. Do you want to have an animal abuser in your fantasy team? And ultimately, answer me this completely seriously. If Zuma got you points, could you live with yourself employing him in your team, given everything that he's done? I'm not sure I could. That's where I stand on it.
Yeah. I think you just need to pay the 0.4 more for Aguerd then.
Exactly. But the 0.4 more for someone that isn't going to prison as it stands. There we go. I think that is everything for this video, Abdul, unless I've missed something massive, but a lot to cover. I think we've got through it all.
Yeah, I think it's quite straightforward this week, Jack. I think it's either, if you've got the money for Haaland, then get him. If you can't get him in one move, then just wait until next week.
Yeah, I really envy your position, because it's just such a simple, this is, no brain power this week.
Yeah.
Don't really have to even worry. The captaincy is interesting, so I give you that. But
yeah,
in terms of a transfer, the thing is with Haaland, you're going to want him in anyway for the doubles.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's a transfer waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
you're right.
But when to be it, man.
I'm going to be, in the mud for the next 48 hours or so, 24 hours, just trying to work out what to do. You know what? since I got you here, and there might be people in my position.
Yeah, go
Got
for
my
it.
team up on screen. Why not? Little bit of therapy. What would you recommend? So I've got 2.1 million in the bank
Yeah,
and one free transfer and Kane.
right.
That's it. So I've got Tony, but obviously can't get up to Haaland. Don't really have any more cash cows.
Just give me
What are
2
you
seconds
thinking?
because I can't actually see your team on the screen. So I'm going to go into the
Ah,
hub league.
of course. Sorry.
And where are you?
I right at the top. I think
Oh,
I'm
there
about
you are.
I'm about 10th. No,
Right, okay.
slipping down.
Yeah, so you've got Kane, Watkins, and Tony. You've got 2.1 in the bank. Honestly, in your position, Jack, I would just save the transfer. I think it's quite an easy decision for me actually because I
Wow.
wouldn't get rid of Kane this week.
Yeah.
Because he's got Brighton at home with more expected minutes, and then he's got Bournemouth. So I would save the transfer and then get Haaland in for Tony with your 2 free transfers in Gameweek
Week
30.
after.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd do.
Oh, such a tough one because I hate I'm. This is going really off topic and getting very personal. I will say there have been some comments saying that people want to see my team a little bit as well. So
Yeah,
I hope you're enjoying this. But
I mean, you're ranked above me and Bucker and Wes, so why not?
Well, yeah, that is just pure luck, mate. Don't know what I'm doing. What I will say is my lack of team value is really hurting me now because I did know that you guys were all going to do this Tony to Haaland move, and obviously it's a great move. I physically couldn't have got there, even if I'd sold Saka last week like you did.
Right, okay, well,
couldn't have got there. So I just thought, we have to bite the bullet. And yeah, the fact is, Kane's just a bit good. Like he just ticks away, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do it for Kane, not this week.
So there we go.
I think save and then just kind of get a big sofa hide behind for this week.
Well, I'm going to be doing a long run. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Okay. Yeah,
starting at exactly 5:30. Yeah,
even better.
a couple of weeks ago into a London marathon. So that's my plan. If I don't go for Haaland, so that'd be fun.
Cool.
Appreciate that, Abdul. Hopefully, some of you guys in the comments have similar teams or similar conundrums to me. I'm sure some of you do. So it wasn't completely worthless that short little period, but nonetheless, some great advice there in general. Patience, perhaps being the key. Making simple moves, or just settling and not being too concerned with players that you can't necessarily get to without really breaking up your team.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Good luck as always. Abdul, your team reveal will be posted, I presume, quite close to the deadline because of waiting for late team news and
I think
captaincy going down to the wire.
Yeah, it should be tomorrow. It should be tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Right, all good. So maybe Friday leading into Saturday. All good stuff. Okay, guys, thanks for watching as always, and we will see you with the next one.
Okay. See you guys. Bye-bye.